Gravity down.
Gravity down. Hey, welcome to episode 157 of Front Seat Gamer. I'm Nick. I'm here with Paul.
Hey.
And Blake.
Hey.
Do I have a set order for introductions? I can never remember.
You've confused yourself in the past.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do.
I always introduce myself first because
Yeah. When I was hosting...
It would be weird for me to go, I'm here with Paul, and then go, and I'm Nick.
You could do yourself in between each time just to mix it up. Because people might forget by the time you've introduced someone else.
Yeah, so I go, I'm Nick. I'm here with Paul.
Yeah, hey.
I'm Nick.
Yeah.
I'm here with Blake.
And you're Nick.
I'm still Nick.
Yeah.
And I'm here with...
Nick.
There's no one else here. It's just me and Paul and Blake.
Yeah.
And Nick.
Yeah.
And Nick.
Yeah.
Just the four of us.
Yeah.
When I was hosting, when I was editing it and listening back, I realized I forgot to introduce myself. So I was just like, I'm here with Paul. How's it going, Paul? And then I'm here with Fabian. How's it going, Fabian? Never said who I am.
I like to imagine there's someone who stumbles upon this podcast for the first time ever and listens to that and goes, but I don't know who this person is. And I'm really struggling. I'm struggling so hard. All right, guys, you been playing anything?
I'm still just playing Path of Exile. So.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about that in a little bit, Blake.
Mm-hmm. I've barely played anything, but I have recently got Total War Warhammer 3.
Okay, and you haven't played it.
And I played it.
Okay.
But the only thing with that is that it's pretty much the same as the last two games.
That's a problem, in my opinion.
Well,
it's also like, what do you do? Because
they just add more. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
They just keep adding more. So the map has gotten giant now. There's like races that weren't even fully fleshed out in actual Warhammer itself that they've added. But essentially, it is like the same game. There's just more of it. And like I looked up the world map comparison across all three games.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much doubled every time.
That's going to be hard to
I
keep
think
up.
after about 10 or 15 games, it'll exceed the size of the known universe.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But
so question one is are there orcs?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. Good. Good job. You passed.
Before we get into it though, I wanted to ask you because you've been away.
Yeah.
How was your trip?
Have I not been on since I went to the
No,
US?
you haven't.
No.
It's been a while, huh?
Yeah.
It was good. Went to the US, visited family, brought a baby. Flying with a baby is hard, turns out. And it's not even that the baby cries.
Yeah.
It's just logistically, when you're going through an airport, you're carrying a bunch of luggage, and then you also have to carry a baby, and then you also have to carry the baby's luggage.
Oh, she's no help.
She's done no help at all.
Does she have more luggage than both of you combined?
It's pretty close because we have to pack like a bunch of nappies, and wipes and changes of clothes, just to make sure she gets through the flight. Yeah, no, legitimately. You wake up if you manage to get the baby to fall asleep on you, she might sleep for a while.
Yeah,
and there's every chance that she'll wet through the nappy, and then by the way, that a lot of the time you don't have a seat for the baby. They're just asleep on you.
Oh, right.
So when they went through on you.
Oh, no.
Didn't you just use the overhead compartment?
Pop
her
was
up
full.
there.
It was full.
It's full of other babies.
Yeah, there's too many other babies. Actually, on the return flight, there was like a bunch of, just like a whole row of babies.
Wow. Do they do baby flights?
Where the babies are pilots and all the flight attendants are babies.
Yeah, did they do that?
No, they tried it. There were some issues. They once or twice and then never again.
You know what I mean, right? Because movie theaters have mums and bubs show.
Do they?
Yeah, where
they
Never
do
heard
that.
of
Yeah,
this.
yeah, where it's like you bring, parents go with their kids. So if you go
We know
there,
you're never. They might as well not even put the movie on. No one's gonna watch that. No one's gonna be able to hear anything. It's just gonna be screaming and crying and food being thrown.
But I think the idea of that is that keeps them
Yeah.
out of the regular shelves.
Yeah.
They segregate them.
Yeah.
It's a corporate sponsored segregation.
yeah,
No, that's not a thing.
seems like it should be.
I mean,
Although
how many about the logistics of how that?
How many are? I mean, how many parents are flying with children? Is it enough to fill multiple planes? Probably.
Maybe once or twice a week.
Yeah,
But like our plane probably had 10 or so babies.
Oh, wow.
That were like baby aged.
Yeah.
Up to 2.
Okay.
They have these little, at least on Air New Zealand, they have these little bassinets that they like hook into the wall. And then you can strap your baby into
Cool.
it. Which my baby was not fond of initially, and then got so tired that she just relented.
How long was the flight?
About 14 hours to LA. We went from, we're in Auckland, and we went from Auckland to LA to Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was pretty long, like almost 24 hours of flying, I think.
Yeah. LA,
Jeez.
wait, LA and those are opposite sides of
Yeah,
America.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Holy.
The return trip was worse, sort of.
Yeah.
So, we flew back from Florida on my birthday.
Ah, nice.
Did
Did you get your
Is that-
flight?
is that nice?
Did you get your flight for free? Was it
No. In
Did you
fact,
get a free flight on your birthday?
when we went to the airport in Orlando, and they had, without telling anybody, canceled the flight and rebooked us for the next day. And
man.
I was like, we'd already been to the airport for like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
And the rest of the family had already left to go back home, so there was no real reason for us to stay there. So we finagled our way onto a different flight that went. We were meant to go like via like Dallas and then to LA or something like that, but it ended up going to St. Louis, which is like north, and then to Las Vegas.
Oh wow.
And then to LA.
Whoa.
And so we spent literally my entire birthday in airports and on
Holy
planes.
heck.
Happy birthday, me.
Yeah.
That
Well, you got
I
to
mean,
see.
even
that's
if
a
that-
gift I didn't want.
Even if that worked out, you'd have entirely lost it to time zones, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, we
12-hour
we
flight
stopped
plus-
in LA.
Yeah.
We didn't continue on to Auckland. We stayed in LA for a few days, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, very nearly. Even if it had worked out, most of the day would have been gone.
Yeah.
But at least I would have had like dinner or something
Mhm.
instead of getting like to the hotel at 4 a.m. or whatever it was.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, didn't play many games.
You also went to medieval times, which I think is like the coolest thing.
we did go to medieval times.
We have nothing like that in New Zealand.
no.
Nothing.
No.
We've
Yeah,
got
I really
nothing.
know. I mean, it's kind of a phenomenon even in the U.S. Like, there's medieval times, and then there are a few locations where a bunch of different kinds of dinner theater aggregate.
Hmm.
Really touristy destinations.
Oh,
so, like,
yeah.
Orlando is one because it's got Disneyland, etc.
Right, yeah.
Universal Studios. Las Vegas has a few,
Hmm.
but you're not gonna just find medieval times sort of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Medieval Times is also like the biggest chain of this sort of style of thing.
I was shocked just to hear that it was still around.
Not only is it still around, they modernized it in some ways. Yeah. Food was actually real good.
That's great.
Yeah. So games, Paul. This is a video game podcast, as you can tell from this intro chatter.
Yep.
You've been playing Path of Exile.
Yeah, still playing.
Now, the public, at least the community vocalization of this league has been not the most positive. But what's your personal experience been?
It's for me way more fun.
And what do you attribute that to?
Like part of it is just that the build I'm playing is actually working, and I'm not struggling too much with that. But I also really like Arch Nemesis. which I think a lot of people don't like.
Now, do you like Arch Nemesis now, or is it like had you played the version of Arch Nemesis that was problematic for the community?
I missed the worst of it for sure.
Okay.
Because I play on PlayStation, which came out a week afterwards.
Right. Yes.
So we already had the worst of the things fixed.
Yep.
Or, from what I know, like I didn't experience them. So.
Yep.
So instead, I started with the version where you just all of a sudden have interesting rares, and not too many rares for the first time in quite a while for me.
Right.
So all the combat with rares actually feels engaging rather than there just being an overwhelming amount of rares.
Right. Uh-huh.
And that for me has made a bunch of combat just more exciting, more interesting.
And you're specifically talking about rare monsters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if I recall, there's some changes to the way loot was being handled, specifically from League content, including Arch Nemesis. So basically, if I recall correctly, you'd be getting less loot from League mechanics overall. But more loot from just the base core game mechanics.
Yeah. So that's my understanding as well. Although, like, I'm pretty far away from
the game balance.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
I'm really just a web developer that plays the game.
Yeah.
So I did notice all the existing League content not really being as rewarding. There is another thing that happened too, where there's like this conversion thing on some Arch Nemesis monsters where it will convert a whole bunch of loot to that specific type. Like, for example, there's a Droughtbringer Arch Nemesis, which I think they stop you getting flask charges or something like that. But they convert all the loot to flasks, which can be great sometimes. But
very early on,
you do end up seeing like quite a lot of flasks. So there's a few places still where where it's clunky, but I've not had a problem getting loot from the game in general at all, and I haven't had to do specific side content to get upgrades and find things and stuff. I did have to ID a lot of rares, but that's kind of how I play anyway.
Right.
I played solo self-found for a real long time.
Gotcha. So you don't trade?
I will now.
Okay.
Just, but more this league than I have previously, because also console didn't have the trade site until now.
Yeah.
We just had the trade market, which was awful for finding things. It was really bad for finding things.
Yeah.
But it has an
almost
offer
by design,
system.
I think, right?
Yep. It's easy to make offers.
Yeah.
And fulfill a trade.
Yeah.
But it's hard to find things.
Yeah.
But
if you're looking for a specific set of mods, virtually impossible. A mod, maybe. I think you can narrow by a mod type or something, if I recall.
Yeah, so you can filter to highlight things.
Yeah.
But if you're, say, looking for an amulet, and when you don't care what base type it is, you don't just need to go through every page of listed amulets. You then need to go through all the amulets.
Right.
Because really, you're going to be looking for something like +1 to level of fire.
Yeah.
And maybe life.
Yeah.
And with amulets, there's so many of them listed. They're all one by one.
Yeah.
So you're going through pages of stash tabs just trying to find.
That's terrible.
Yeah. And like I get it, because the offers system is a lot better. Right. So we've got like this weird hybrid thing at the moment where you can use the trade site to find things and send people a whisper through there, which has meant that at the point where I would usually kind of give up because there's a problem I couldn't solve, I can now whisper people.
Nice.
And that probably has helped how much I'm enjoying the league as well.
Ooh.
I haven't done a boatload of it, but
but you've patched a few holes in your build. What build are you playing?
I'm playing Summon Raging Spirits, which I hadn't played before.
Okay.
And I don't usually like minion builds because they're not very engaging, but Summon Raging Spirits just feels a little bit more.
Yeah, the short duration means you're doing stuff pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Right? What are you using any uniques?
No.
None.
I don't have a single unique.
Is it not yet, or like are you aiming to get something for the build?
No, it's just not needed for what I'm trying to do because I'm playing Guardian, so it's all just like run auras and regen and stuff, and I get a lot of good defenses just off regular rares. Hence the whole I was IDing a lot of rares.
Yeah.
Also, the rares can have the Eater of Worlds and Searing Exarch implicits, or
Right.
are they
These
implicits
are
or
new since I
enchantments?
left.
Yeah, they will be.
Right.
I'm not sure if they're implicits or enchantments.
Okay.
But they got
There's
the top of your
some
item
sort of thing, yeah.
and aren't part of the regular mods.
Yeah.
And there's some really nice ones there. Like, oh shit, I did get a unique. I bought it like 2 days ago.
Which one?
Fleshcrafter, which causes your minions, if they have energy shield, to ignore enemy elemental resistances. It's a chest piece.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Which is nice for some Raging Spirits because I also am using a dual.
It's really good for your build, especially because you're probably spamming all those elemental damage auras.
Yep.
And energy
Well, it's
shield.
actually I don't have a boatload of energy shield, but I have enough.
But if you're just, as long as you're running one of the the low level energy shield aura,
you don't even need to, because I think a little bit of the energy shield is provided by the unique as well, and also for some Enraging Spirits, you really need to have a cluster jewel that has it's called Blessed Rebirth, which is minions that were recently summoned can't take damage.
right? Okay.
So they get to keep that energy shield
Yeah.
for most of their duration,
or whatever. Yeah.
Which just makes the chest piece really nice.
Yep. Nice. There's a few pretty decent some Raging Spirits uniques, if I recall. But if you're for Guardian specifically, probably not as good as just that body and just running as many auras as you possibly can.
Yeah, and I'm really just trying to find stuff that allows me to run more auras now.
Yeah.
But all the really good stuff is super expensive.
Prism Guardian is pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a few.
Unfortunately, I can't get a unique helmet because you really need the +2 to level of minion skills for damage.
Yep.
So rare helmet's gonna win there.
There's a few good minion shields. You could also do I forgot the Necromantic Aegis, where you give your minions your shield, and you could go a damage shield potentially.
Yeah, true.
That's quite a good damage multiplier potentially.
There is a Shaper mod on the shield that I got recently, which is just 30% reduce 30% reservation efficiency for socketed jewels. So I have anger and determination in there.
Right.
Because then they're both 50% mana reservation. Nice. And that cleared up a bunch of things for me.
Do you reckon you're going to play any other builds this league?
Probably not. I usually I play a league for about a month and then just stop.
Yeah.
How long has it been now?
Month and a half?
Yeah, definitely longer. And that was also with me being super sick for a week and just playing all day while I was sick.
So how deep into maps are you?
Oh, tier 16s are pretty trivial now.
Okay. So have you done the end game stuff?
I've done some of it.
Have you done the Maven?
I tried and failed.
Mm-hmm.
It was before swapping some gear, but also I've not done that fight before.
Yeah, quite a tricky mechanical fight.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will try it again once I've upgraded some gear since, but I probably want to level again before trying.
Yep.
But I did Elder and Shaper.
Nice.
It was fun because I hadn't actually killed Shaper before, despite it being around for ages. I play the game frequently, but I never usually play for that long.
Right.
So usually I get to halfway through maps and I'm just I'm kind of done with what I want.
Yeah, I feel like I beat Shaper once, but I'm trying to remember. It's a tricky fight as well.
That one's fun though because it's quite clear what's going on.
Yeah, it's really just the slam avoidance that is it's the Twitch reaction on the slams when he teleports.
Yeah.
That's the thing that usually catches me off guard because I just don't have super fast reaction speeds.
Yeah, neither do I really.
Blake, when was the last time you played PoE?
I haven't played properly for a long time. I played a little. Even saying that I played the League is stretching it because I just played enough to experience the League mechanic once.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I haven't played in ages.
What do you attribute that to?
Working on it.
Yeah. Yep, that makes
Well,
sense.
I always said that I would get to the point in the game where my own work starts showing up, and I would just start feeling like I'm at work.
Yeah,
doing work.
Yeah.
Which it's like I'm excited for like PoE 2, but like so much of that is my stuff and stuff that I've managed, and so I don't know if I'll be able to enjoy it. Or I might just see problems.
I get this because like I haven't listened to a single podcast.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear myself. And luckily for me, I just work on the website, so I don't have to see any of that.
Yeah.
Game, although I've been using the trade site.
When you use the trade site, do you go, oh, I need to fix this up?
So it was kind of interesting. Rory did most of the work on the trade site.
Yeah.
Who's one of the other web developers that works with me.
Yeah.
And I did find some things that I wanted to like improve or modify or whatever, and talked about them with Rory. And because I kind of had a fresh perspective on it, having never really used it for PC that much.
Right.
Whereas this time I'm actually like fully engaged and can use it properly on console. And there's some like slight differences with how you would typically go about things on console as well.
Is it optimized for mobile at all? I haven't actually tried using it on mobile.
Not optimized, but it's reasonable.
Okay.
I definitely have looked up some items and stuff and searched for things. Well.
Yeah. Cool. Do you reckon an app makes sense?
It's hard to justify it needing an app on its own.
Well, the thing that comes to mind is push notifications as being like a really useful tool if you're putting a trade out.
Yeah.
And then like someone can do a push notification and be like, I want that item. And then you should go log on and do the trade, as opposed to being required to be online.
Sure. That would bring it slightly more in line with how it is on console. Because with console, you have the whole trade market thing, and while you're playing, you can get like a pop-up just being like, someone's made an offer on this thing.
But what if you're not playing?
Yeah, then you've got no exposure to that.
Exactly.
At the moment.
Yeah.
When you come back, do you just see all the offers that were made or something?
If they're still there, yeah. And you can then just still go through and approve them or whatever. There's this weird thing where I can see why we don't have that on PC. But there is this cool thing of being like, I'm getting ready for work, I'm going to check my offers.
Yeah.
See if I got like some people ready to give me some like currency.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's not on PC?
Because on PC you could like, people will just immediately write tools that make that not the manual process that it is.
Right. Yes.
Which is kind of a shame because it being slightly clunky and stuff, and with the restrictions that are there, I think make it work really well.
Yeah. Okay.
But because anyone can just like have even just auto hotkey things that just go through all the things and click accept and
Yep, it just turns it into a bot.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's not what it was supposed to be at all.
Right.
As soon as you have people auto accepting those, it's a different thing.
Yeah, I think it's quite important that the human element be retained through in trade in some capacity, because without a person looking at the offers and the items, that value becomes very abstract. It starts to put a lot of downward pressure on both the literal value of the item within the game, but also the mental value of the item. Like how much you as a player care about items becomes reduced when you're not interacting with those systems.
Yeah, and the trade market does have messages attached to offers too. You don't have to put one there.
Yeah.
But like, I've had people message me and you know, like they'll send through one, you're like, oh no, it's not enough, and then they'll be like, please, and you're like, no, come on. And then they send through another one that like clearly chucked in like a bunch of random currencies, and this might be the scam they're running, but you're like, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great though. That's exactly the interaction that you want.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
And you can't do that with automation, right?
Yeah.
It just makes it
It's
impersonal.
an interesting problem. It's like and it's I worked there for 7-something years, and it was something we discussed a lot was trade, and we would always see people wanting an auction house, whatever else, and the reasons they want them are valid, but have quite wide-reaching impacts on the overall feel and intent of the game on the player.
Yeah.
Like PoE more than any other action RPG, and probably more than any game I can think of, is a game about items.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
everything is items, and the fact that you can trade for them is really important for the psychological effect of the things you're picking up. Everything can have a value, and you need to be interacting with that object to get a sense of that value. Even if you're not using it for its intended purpose, if all you're doing is selling it on, you need to be involved in that process to understand that it has a value. It's a very interesting,
because you're talking about value more than a number too, right? Like
Yes.
actual importance of
the purpose it serves in the game, the whether or not it's worth the space it takes up in the inventory. These are all things that are things that you would learn as a player, and it's also that these things change at different points through the game and throughout the league. Like a low level character will pick up wisdom scrolls, right? Like you're up to level 10 or whatever, you're picking up wisdom scrolls all the time. You're vending white items at the start of a league. Like, this is all valid stuff to do. 2 weeks in, no. When you're level 50, you don't care about these things anymore. You're never looking at white items. But then, at level 90, suddenly you're looking at white items in the game. 'Cause you want these specific trade bases or like these crafting bases. So, if you are not interacting with these directly, if you're letting them be handled by automation or some sort of system, you learn less about the game, you care less about the items, and then overall you care less about the game because it's about items.
that makes sense.
It's a very interesting set of restrictions that they have imposed for very good reasons. And even so, I see why players want an auction house, but I think that ultimately that would be a detrimental move for PoE as a whole.
Yeah, I can see that. It's a real tricky thing, because I actually quite like what I have on PlayStation right now. Like, it's clunky in places, and there are things about it that are annoying.
Yeah.
But there are a level of annoying that I'm okay with.
Yeah. There are some things on console, on PoE in particular, that I could not get behind. Specifically, it's like the gem management, I think, was and still is
really bad.
Is a problem. Yeah.
The reason I don't care too much about that is just because you don't have to do it past a certain point, right?
Yes and no. I mean, anytime you get an upgrade, you do, right?
Yep.
There's like, okay, you've got your pretty good chest piece. It's 5 link or whatever, and then you get a 6 link that's better, or you get a 5 link that's better statistically, or you actually no, you just get a chest that's got better stats, and you have to roll it.
Yep.
So you're doing all of that rolling, and then you have to do the socket colors, which means you have to know which gems you've got to like socket, and then you have to actually put the gems in the sockets.
Yep.
Which is a series of nested menus essentially, and it's
the actual socketing part of it is the worst part for me.
It is,
and like it is actually quite bad.
I don't even remember how you handle gem levels. I think it's automated at this point, right?
It's automated, yeah. You can lock them to stop them auto-leveling.
That's right. And I remember this was a big point of discussion internally, where it was like, in general, most players will want to level their gems, but there are reasons you won't. And there are certain gems you won't. And we wanted players to have the freedom to not level their gems, but like actually manually leveling your gems
Would have been terrible
on console.
Yeah.
I think there was a point where it was manual and it was awful.
Yeah, I can see that. That would
It
be
was so bad.
And what we ended up with there is actually quite good. The being able to just go in and turn off auto leveling.
Yeah.
Even the process of selecting the item, highlighting the gem, and tapping triangle, and it puts a little lock thing on it.
Yeah.
That I'm actually like completely fine with in terms of how it feels to do. And I do this quite a lot because I'm running a bunch of auras.
Yeah.
And so like I still need clarity.
Yeah.
I need it like a pretty specific level depending on what I've currently got in my tree.
Yep. Yeah, clarity is like one of the best examples.
The actual process of swapping the gems themselves
Yeah.
does suck.
It does really suck.
Do you think something like the gems, where when you swap new gear, right? You've got a chest piece and it's got your gems on, and you have an upgrade. If you like,
You just transfer them.
it just swaps. Like you equip it, and it just automatically swaps the gems. But even if the gem, like the sockets, aren't the same color, they're still socketed, but they're just not functional.
I see.
So
what
at
you're
least
saying.
at least they're kind
That
of
would be
there.
so confusing.
Yeah, I
probably
think it
would.
would be confusing.
Consider that you think you've got the right colors, because actually you do have the right colors, but the links are wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
And you do the swap over, and it's
And
not
then
functioning the way you.
Yeah, and then you'd have to go and move them around anyway.
Well, you might.
And-
That's if you realize what the problem is, which is
Yeah.
the actual thing there.
Yeah.
It's like you may not realize for a while that your build is not working the way it's actually meant to be,
Yeah,
because
probably.
there was an unsocketed gem or whatever, a disabled gem. It feels like buggy. It's a bad experience. When you figure it out, it wasn't clear. It took you ages to figure it out. You
Yeah.
don't even know how long it's been like that. Bad
Also,
experience.
the location of gems, while it isn't important for the links, is important for knowing, for you to mentally keep track of like where things are if you're like planning to swap out something once it hits level 20.
Yeah,
You know, because usually you're like leveling gems and swapped equipment so that once they so that you can get like the 2020. Because if you vendor a level 20 gem
in a GCP,
and a
yeah,
GCP,
20
you
quality,
get the 20% quality.
Yep.
And you just want to be able to keep track of like where things are and which ones they are, so that
I
you
get
don't
you.
have to go through
Yeah.
that process of highlighting each of them.
Yeah. But then, is there a better way of doing this then? Like, because if this is the thing that's like you're having the biggest problem with, while you're doing it, is there anything that you're like, I wish it was just like this?
Part of it is that I wish the sticks worked the way you thought they would for moving the cursor around when
Yeah.
you're selecting there's been a thing recently where when you go to socket a gem, you don't pick which piece of gear you're going to socket the gem into. It will just like pick one, and then you got to like navigate through all of them.
Right. It'll probably go to like the closest
Yeah.
color or empty one or whatever. There's
Yeah,
some
yeah.
sort of
I think it just goes to,
heuristic.
but that could be something like in your inventory.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll be on a piece of equipment. You've even got the gem in the piece of equipment you want, but it's
Yeah.
over a gem that's already socketed and you just want to move down to the bottom.
Yeah.
And it just won't let you. Which is probably a bug and I should probably bring up with
Yeah.
someone.
It's interesting. Yeah. There's a lot of things in the PoE core UI that are developed for mouse that when
Yeah.
you try to port it over to an analog stick, it's a very complicated problem. And the one that comes to mind is the passive tree, navigating the passive tree.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to go linearly node to node. You want to be able to skip to clusters and stuff like that.
Mm.
And I think they ended up doing a pretty good job, if I recall.
It's
it
all
feels
right.
pretty natural.
Sometimes it's hard to go up in a specific direction,
Okay.
but for the most part, it's good,
It's
and
doing
that's
what you
kind of
want it
good
to do.
enough.
Yeah, and that was surprising to me, that how close to good, like to what you want
Yeah.
they got it, considering it is basically just like it's built for mouse
Yeah.
and nothing else.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about. Sorry, did you have any more to talk about on PoE? By the way.
No, not really.
Okay, good. Shut up.
You ask more questions.
Yeah,
I'll go down this rabbit hole.
I was very interested. I've been playing another roguelike,
Oh yeah.
roguelite, I guess, called Dicey Dungeons.
Okay.
Have either of you heard of it?
No.
So this is quite an interesting game. It is a dice-based roguelite. Basically, you have little floors with a few battles and like some other things to interact with, and the battles are all dice roll based. So you'll have a quote unquote equipment. So it's like a broadsword, and it deals the damage based on your dice roll. That's the most sort of basic version.
Mm-hmm.
Or you've got one where it's like deals damage based on your dice roll up to 5, and so you don't want a 6. Or only poisons monsters when you roll a 1, or whatever.
So when you're rolling a 6-sided die that's not modified?
Correct. But you're usually rolling a bunch of them. Like
Yeah.
between like 2 and 6 or something like
Okay.
that.
So the
Level.
equipment is based off what... The equipment does the thing based off what the rolls are, not...
Yes, but it's in the same way that have you ever played Yahtzee?
Yeah, but I'm not sure I remember.
Yeah, that's fine. The thing about Yahtzee is I think you roll the dice and then you choose which dice to use, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And this is functionally the same thing. You roll all the dice first. Basically, you get your dice rolls, and then you assign them to your equipment. So,
okay.
in that way, you can kind of build your character to cover your bases, but you can also do like quite intricate specializations. So, like, there's one where there's certain types of equipment where there's a counter. So it'll say like 20, and you assign dice to count it down. Like it consumes them, and when it reaches 0, it does its effect. So it might just deal like 10 damage. But there's like one that was like it's a counter of 6, and when you get it to 0, it gives you 2 1s. As in, like, you get 2 dice that have a 1 on it.
Yeah.
Then you'll have one that's like it re-rolls a dice, and maybe you can use that one multiple times. So you can like roll a 6, get 2 dice, and then re-roll both of those dice and get 6s.
Yep. That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, it's quite cool. Lots of they got pretty intricate with the dice mechanics. There's ones that will increment a dice upwards or downwards, and if you've got a 6, it increment upwards, you get a 6 and a 1. So
Okay.
there's like lots of little tricks you can start learning to do.
Yeah.
But the thing that really I think makes this game worth playing is there's a bunch of different classes, and each class has 6. They call them episodes, which is just like game types, and most of those game types feel very unique. So like your basic warrior class or whatever is really basic in the first version, and then they'll do a version where you start off with 2 different kinds of weapon, and all the equipment in the dungeon is upgraded. And then there's one where there's a different class entirely where it's like your equipment turns into a power at the end. So you lose the equipment, but you get a power for the next battle.
Okay.
And so you're kind of rolling your equipment into a new skill every time and trying to figure out what you're going to need ahead and what you
Do
don't.
those
what you're
stack,
happy
or
losing
is it
now.
like each area is... Or once it becomes a power, do you keep that for the rest of the run?
No, you lose it after the next battle,
Okay.
so it gets replaced. There's
Yep.
it's quite interesting. The variety they get within these episodes, and across each character, there's just quite a lot of value in that game. And then there's like all these like special game modes I have barely even touched upon, where all the equipment is switched around. Like there's a Halloween series where all the equipment is Halloween themed. So it's quite solid.
Is this a mobile or...
It is on mobile. I think you can also get it on PC.
Yeah.
Maybe even on Switch and other consoles. Don't hold me to that. But pretty fun. And also it's very cute. Like the art style is very cute, and it's pretty tongue-in-cheek, which is good.
Yeah.
It doesn't take itself seriously at all.
I would quite like another phone game. I haven't had one in a while.
Yeah.
Since I stopped playing
Slay the Spire? Or...
Yeah. Well, and the other one, the carded... What's it called? Card Adventure or something? I don't know.
Oh, the one that you said
It was the one
like
that I
Slay the
started
Spire?
playing.
Yeah.
Did you play much Slay the Spire in the end?
Not a lot.
I played quite a lot, and I'm still playing it, honestly.
Yeah.
It's very good.
I kind of ruined it a little bit for myself by playing the other one first. The other one was
Is it better?
it's not better. It's an easier game, but it's also more predictable.
Okay.
Where like it's not an easy game.
Yeah.
But I got quite frustrated in Slay the Spire with how important the relics were. Were they relics or artifacts?
Yeah, relics. I know. Yeah.
Versus which cards you just had.
Yeah.
Cards are more important in the other game. And you
Right.
can get relics, but they really just sort of amplify what you're doing rather than where in Slay the Spire I sort of felt like I'd found a few good and the runs I had that went really well were more because of the relics I found.
Yeah, that's an interesting game. I think it's also in Slay the Spire that's more true early on than it is later on.
Right.
Because as you play more, you unlock more relics and you unlock more cards. And so both of these pools become larger and less predictable. But you also become more disciplined about which cards you take.
Yeah.
And so you can shape your run quite a lot through the cards you take or don't take.
There's also you can like you choose to take relics.
Yes.
Because you can discover that actually the downside of this relic is actually not worth it. So you can, in later runs when that pops up, you can be like, I actually don't want this relic. I'll choose the whatever other option is.
There are definitely some relics, especially boss relics, where it's not worth taking. Yeah, but you always have to take one. But there are some where the downsides are so heinous that it makes the run completely unplayable.
Yeah.
Like there's one where you can't see what the enemy's gonna do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awful.
It's like it gives you an extra energy every turn, but you don't know what your opponent's gonna do. Some enemies work on a very fixed cycle of AI, or it's like I always do A then B then A then B or whatever. And so you can still be fine against those, but then anything by like floor 2 or 3, you just kind of you're boned pretty much. But one thing I really enjoy about Slay the Spire is the sheer number of builds that legitimately work and feel unique through that card selection and relic process. But you're quite right that like for a build to really coalesce, you have to get the right relics and the right cards, and relics are doled out so infrequently and with such randomness that
with like quite a lot of power. And a lot of them.
Yeah, it can be quite tricky. Like if you get the monkey hand, which I think it's the one that when you use a power, it reduces the cost of another card in your hand to 0.
Yep.
It's insanely strong.
Yeah.
And or that especially combined with a thing that like causes you to draw new cards when you play all your cards. That can be like a completely broken run.
Yeah.
If you also get a bunch of powers.
Yeah.
So you need to be choosing powers and hoping you get a monkey paw, or you need to get a monkey paw and then start hoping you get powers.
Yeah. I think there was a warrior build that I did similar to that, where there's like a relic when you play a power, you get like another power or something. I don't know. It was absurd. I was just stacking powers.
Yes. There's I don't think it's warrior. Oh, maybe it is warrior, but there's at least the
maybe it's not. Maybe it's the orbs dude.
Yeah, the orbs dude has a power that gives you a new power at the start of every turn.
Yep, that thing was just bonkers.
I think it's called creative AI or something like that. Yeah, and when you get that plus monkey paw, it just makes your cards. You can play 2 cards for the price of 1, basically. And if you start getting like the free powers or the powers that only cost 1, you can just chain powers together. Because you play one and it causes another one to cost 0, which causes another one to cost 0, which causes another one to cost 0.
Yeah.
Those are the best runs. But you are quite right.
It's so up to chance. It's so up to chance.
It is very inconsistent.
Yeah.
I can see how, though, with a lot of playing it, you learn to work with those inconsistencies and figure out what to do with what you have.
Yeah. I read a guide by a guy who basically just said, whenever I'm making a choice, what I'm choosing is what's going to best allow me to survive the next round.
Hmm.
So he was never really building towards a thing.
Yeah.
At least not early on. It was always what's going to let me kill the next elite, basically. Let me get more relics. Because later on, that's how you open up your options and you can start funneling towards a build.
Yeah.
But that's not how I play. Like, I want to do the power build.
Yeah.
Choose all the power cards. Like,
Yeah.
I hope I get a monkey paw, and then I'm gonna
Yeah,
lose.
they just hope that you get the right dice roll and get the thing that brings it all together.
Yeah.
And
And that becomes more and more infrequent
Yeah.
the longer you've played, because you've just unlocked a bunch more stuff.
Yeah.
I think that is the right mental state to be thinking of this game as just like, what is going to get me through the next
Yes.
thing.
At least for if your goal is successfully clearing. If you just want to have a good time, though,
Yeah.
I think it's totally valid to pursue a build that you actually want to play.
Yeah, that's true.
I agree, but I also think out of that mindset of just surviving the next round, you can like discover a build.
Yes,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah, and then suddenly you're like, wait a minute, now I've kind of got this system
I'm
going.
seeing some things working here.
Yeah, so
Like,
I'll
cull the fat.
I'll start moving towards that, and
Exactly.
yeah.
On that topic, we've got a question from a listener called Nick. Great name.
That was the other Nick, all along.
He was here the whole time. Go ahead and read this out, Nick. Oh, hey guys. I'm not going to do a voice. Never mind.
How insulting to Nick. Oh my god. How dare you?
It would be amazing if he called in and he sounded exactly like that. What do you mean? Why are you doing that voice? Hey guys, I love how you've gotten into Slay the Spire. As I've gotten older, I've moved away from action and deep RPGs into these run-based roguelite style games. I feel they suit my desire for quick yet strategic/complex games. I can't remember if you talked about Monster Train yet, but if you like Slay the Spire, I highly suggest Monster Train. It's probably my favorite game in the past few years because it's very much a one-shot style of dungeon crawler, and it's got some super unique mechanics. I also just picked up Across the Obelisk, which seems pretty good so far. It's more in the vein of Darkest Dungeon, but card-based, i.e. you build your team over time. First take is it's not as good as the others mentioned, but still fun. Take care, Nick. I am going to try Monster Train. Have you tried Monster Train?
I have not, but that Obelisk game, a friend of mine was talking to me about, and he's been really, really enjoying it.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was talking to me about it like yesterday.
Nice.
So I was thinking about checking that out at some point.
I'm going to look up Monster Train. On
Apparently,
my phone right now.
apparently you can play like co-op.
Oh.
With the Obelisk game, you can play. You've got 4 characters, and you can have someone else playing one of the other ones.
Oh wow.
Maybe up to 4. I'm not sure because I haven't actually checked it out myself. But yeah, he was saying you can totally play co-op, which is an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Speaking of co-op, I've also been playing Alaloth
Oh yeah.
a little bit, which we've talked about in the last few episodes. Did we talk about the co-op mechanic at all?
No, because I've not played it co-op.
Yeah.
No.
So let's talk about. I haven't played a co-op either, and there's a good reason for that. It has a co-op mechanic. It's local only, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
It might be online, but regardless, it's pointless.
That's interesting. Local only.
Yeah, it's even if it's not local only, it's pointless because it's only in fighting areas where you can do co-op.
Oh, right.
So you,
Yep.
you spend a little bit of time in the game in fighting areas.
Yeah.
But to be perfectly honest, not the majority of your time. And when you're in a fighting area, there's not really decision making.
Nah, it's just attack.
It's just fighting.
Yeah.
And you don't get to build a character. You're playing one of these like predefined characters
Huh.
for if you're playing co-op.
Yeah.
So
It seems like a game to me that would be just could work well with not co-op, but like you have an enemy player, right? Like how I thought.
like a
it
versus
worked.
mode.
Like a versus mode where
I
there's
agree.
there's another player that is
Yeah.
another hero somewhere else in the world
You know,
playing the same world.
when you first described the game and you thought this was the case, I was like, that's weird, and I don't know how that would work. And the more I've played it, the more I think that's actually the better format for this game. This game, look, Alaloth it's got some really fun elements to it,
Yeah.
But it's got some real. If you're a developer on Alaloth, I'm sorry to say, it got some big design flaws, in my opinion. The arbitrary level cap is too low. The AI is too simple. The fights don't have enough variety, in my opinion. There's weird difficulty spikes as well. Like, I did a 3 skull dungeon that was way, way, way harder than anything I've done. And I've done big boss dungeons. I've done 5 skull dungeons. I've done all this stuff. There's just also the quests. All the quests are the same. They're all go to a place, do a thing. And the thing is kill monsters or pick up items.
Yeah.
And if you sit and you take the time to read and stuff, you probably get some enjoyment out of that. But there's also spelling mistakes and grammar issues.
Oh, really? I don't.
But if you can get past that, then sure. But if you're the kind of gamer who skips the quest stuff, there's so many quests in the game and they're all the same. And so you don't even.
Yeah, that would get annoying.
And that quest log is tricky, annoying to navigate.
It's useless. You can't even. It's pointless. Then trying to turn in quests. It matters whether it's day or night.
Yep.
And sometimes you'll go to town and you'll have it'll be yeah, you can totally turn in a quest here. And you go in there and
there's no one there.
Not right time of day, so you don't know. But maybe it is the right time of day, but they're actually in the inn. Or
you have to check the inn.
Yep.
No matter what time of day it is, and then you're like, all right, I guess I just sleep, and then you might find them during the night.
Yep.
I get why that's annoying, but that's also kind of interesting.
It is interesting.
I did like
it seems cooler than this NPC that you turn shit into is just there all the time. Their life is just waiting for you to return this quest.
Yeah. I did like that there was this day and night thing where there's just different NPCs around and shops are closed and there's different people day and night.
The problem is not that. The problem is how you then transition to day through the times. To go from day to night, you either have to go and sleep in an inn or leave the town and wait and then go back into the town.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no just wait button. There's also no
That's a shame.
There's a thing that bugs me is that there's no camp button. Well, there's no set up a camp. In Pathfinder.
Yeah.
It's almost very similar. You move around on the map in a very similar way.
Sort of pins and stuff.
Yeah, and there's a day-night thing.
Yeah.
Time passes, and then if you're low on health or whatever, you camp.
Yeah.
Anywhere on the map, and you regen your health. But in this, it's you have to sleep at an inn to regain your life.
You can't. I mean, you can use potions and stuff.
Yeah, sure. If you want to use potions, but
it's quite a flawed game.
There's also the thing of the durability on equipment. I like that there's durability, but it's so low. You have to constantly be repairing.
It's also, I don't fully understand how the costs are calculated, because sometimes it costs me 800 gold to repair. Sometimes it costs me 2,000, and I haven't really done much different.
Yeah.
And it feels like it would be cheaper to buy a repair kit and repair everything outside a fighting area.
Yeah, I bought a repair kit and I repaired stuff. You can also only repair stuff outside a fighting area, not out in the field.
No, or in a town.
Yeah.
Why can't you just go to the blacksmith or use
there is some odd stuff. Generally, I do like it though, but there's some odd things.
The way the whole food system works is kind of weird.
Yeah,
you cook your food at a campfire, and then to eat the food, you put it where you'd put your potions.
Yeah. Well, you can just eat it straight out of your inventory.
Yeah, but then it doesn't carry across to the fighting area, does it?
No, it does.
It does?
If you're outside the fighting area.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah,
I should be doing that.
That's what I was doing. So I carried a bunch of high level food, meals, and then eat that before the fighting area, just out of your inventory.
Right.
And then
Okay.
You just go in.
I don't like. There's a gem socketing system.
Oh yeah.
You've probably never used.
No, I have socketed a gem.
Oh, because you crafted an item.
I think so. Yeah.
I've never found an item that has a gem socket that I didn't craft.
Ah.
So which is just weird to me.
Yeah.
Why doesn't loot have gem sockets?
Yeah.
I do think there's some interesting things in the crafting system. And basically, this game has some really cool stuff and some big big problem.
I like talking about the crafting system. I like that different regions of the game of the
Have different
world
materials?
have different materials, and you craft different things. So if you're in the dwarven area,
Yeah.
you craft all dwarven stuff, and they have like different attributes
Yep.
and all this stuff. So yeah, if you want
That's
like
neat.
specific things, you have to go to specific places
Yeah.
in the world to craft them.
Oh, there's the specific recipes, but there's also the specific materials that the enemies drop.
Yeah,
which you can augment your crafts with, and there's even like special blacksmiths with special stuff within these areas.
Oh.
Like in the dwarven area, there's a blacksmith off in an isolated corner of the map
Oh yeah.
who has like a battleborn set of gear that he can craft.
Oh wow.
That's just different from the dwarven set.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But you have to like do a quest to do it. It's like, like I said, there's some really cool stuff. Just a lot of weird stuff. Some of the dungeon arrangements are really weird. Where like the chest which ends your run is quite early on, and there's a bunch of stuff to explore around.
Yeah. I've done that before. I've gone past the end chest to see the rest of the dungeon.
Yeah.
And it's very weird.
Why they wouldn't just be like you can loot the chest and continue?
Yeah, because they even say like looting the chest will end the dungeon.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just lots of weird stuff.
Yeah.
And that's we talked also about the whole UI problem.
The UI is it's
bad.
It's console. It's a controller issue.
No, it's not though.
It's trying to put
partially.
a game that like would be better with a mouse and keyboard onto a controller.
No, I think it's. I mean, maybe, but I think no.
Yeah.
Maybe, but no, Blake. To me, the issue is really one of trying to minimize button presses over clarity, but in doing so, also not necessarily minalizing button presses. We talked.
There's heaps of button presses.
Exactly.
It's all button presses.
We talked about the navigating to repair.
Yeah.
It's like shoulder and then like trigger.
Yeah.
Or trigger in the shoulder or whatever.
Trigger, shoulder, and then you press a button to repair all.
Yeah.
And then press another button to okay that.
And why these things are in their own separate like categories when you could have just like pressed shoulder twice or whatever. Like the fact
Or
that
just
you can't,
hold a button.
Yep.
You know? Hold something to repair.
The fact that it doesn't loop around as well.
That
like when there's
that actually
when there's
infuriates me the
4 or
most.
5
Yeah.
buttons at the top,
Yeah.
like tabs or whatever. You can't go from left to right.
The not looping
Yeah.
is the thing that gets me.
So-
That's in the quest log. That not looping from top to bottom.
Yep,
Just
there's that too.
Oh my god.
So it's just lots of little problems.
It's early access though.
Not for long, I think. They're doing a big update
Yeah.
soon, and I don't know. There's just it's got a lot of cool stuff. It just doesn't quite hold together.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
I do quite like it a lot, and even with these flaws.
You haven't
it's
played it
just-
in a while, though, right?
No, I haven't actually played it in a while though.
Why is that?
I don't know.
But you like it. You just don't play it.
yeah.
To be fair, I can say that about a bunch of games.
Yeah.
There's heaps of games that I like that I just stopped playing and I have no good reason for.
You know, a game I'm excited to play again soon.
Yeah.
No.
What?
Go ahead, Blake. Guess.
It's No Man's Sky.
No. I've never played it, and I never
It's
will.
Zelda.
Oh man.
Actually, yeah.
Yes, actually, that is
Yeah.
that trailer.
Yep.
Only a tiny snippet of gameplay. That's all I needed. So ready for that game. Tears of the Kingdom.
I was hoping
Let's
it would be this
go.
year.
Yeah, everyone was.
Yeah.
No, the Mountain Blade 2.
Oh,
That's launching this year officially.
yes. I went to download that last night, or not a couple nights ago, because I was
Yeah.
like, man, I haven't played this for a while. I wonder how it's going. And then I saw that it was actually launching
Yeah, they've
soon,
got
so I
a
was
launch
like,
date.
all right, I'll wait till then. And
Yeah, I'm really excited for that.
yeah.
I sort of beat it when it was in
yeah.
a few months ago, and like there were big gaps. There was like random voice acting sometimes.
Oh.
By the way, in Alaloth, there's one NPC that has voice acting.
Really?
Yeah.
Who?
But it's digital digital voice acting.
Oh no.
So I don't know why it's the only one I found
can
that has it. It's really weird.
I can understand an indie studio being like, yeah, we'll just use AI voice for everything.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
try it on one and then forget to turn that off on production.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just like, oh, actually, let's not do this.
Anyway, yeah, Mountain Blade 2 coming out later this year. Paul, you should get it.
What?
Wait, do you have a good PC?
Yeah.
Like good graphics card and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should get Mount and Blade 2.
Mountain Blade is so good.
It's really, really
Yeah.
good.
What sort of style of game is it? I-
It's medieval warfare, first-person combat, mounted on a horseback often.
Mm.
Really quite tactile combat. Like it feels impactful.
Yeah.
The way you approach an enemy and what weapon you're using and how what swing type you use, etc. All that matters. But then combat's only part of the game. You start off with basically nothing, and you have to sort of get money, and you can get money through like helping people, or you can trade between towns. So you're traveling around the world, trading between towns. It's a game about organic growth from basically lone soldier to king of a massive army. And you go from like fighting 3 bandits in a field and just scraping by to conquering castles with 1,000 troops.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
And that ramp is really organic. It feels natural, and it's just a real pleasure. And at some point, you can make your own kingdom, and like you try and forge allies. There's this insane weapon crafting system, which I barely even tapped into the first time I played, but is like extremely deep.
So was this early access before and is launching properly soon?
Yes, and it's been in development for like 10 years.
Oh, okay.
It's really long. The original Mountain Blade came out, I want to say 2007, maybe 2008.
Wow.
And they did like a few versions of it. There's a version with guns. There was a version that was based on a novel. That might be the version with guns. There's a version with multiplayer. This has multiplayer as well, actually. But it was always really ugly looking.
Yeah.
Like the first version, it was just horrendous looking, and they spent a lot of time on the art for this one. It's not like incredible looking, but it's pretty good looking.
Yeah, it looks pretty decent. Yeah,
the cities and stuff all feel very organic.
The cities you can get lost in.
Yeah,
They got lots of winding passages. It reminds me of like, you know how the cities in The Witcher, everything. It felt like a city had grown organically.
Yeah,
and everything was winding paths and little narrow things and dead ends as well.
The only thing I really want is more to do in cities.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can access everything in the city through just a city menu and not actually physically go into the city.
There are exceptions,
really?
I think.
Are there?
Some NPCs and stuff.
I think buying shops you have to go into the city for.
Yeah. That's true.
And quests as well.
Yeah.
Like you'll find quests in the city.
Yeah.
But no, you don't. Do you even have to? Because in the city menu, I'm sure like there's like a quest icon.
Quests maybe not, but you do have to go into the city to buy shops.
Yeah.
You can buy shops and tell them what to craft and.
Yeah. I was trying to
That sounds pretty cool.
last time we talked about it, I was trying to create a merchant empire.
Yeah.
Where I just like amassed enough wealth to buy the castles and not have to like go to war.
That's a thing you can do.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
and I was getting pretty close, but man, it
takes a while.
It takes a while because my gameplay is actually just trade routes.
Yeah, you're sort of going around the rim of the whole country. And trading and
then just buying up as many shops as I can and setting trade caravans, as well as myself being basically a trade caravan going around the world.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
It's a fascinating game. Think of it sort of provides near Skyrim levels of freedom in terms of how you play and stuff.
Yeah.
But the focus is less on like it's much more grounded in reality and the medieval way of life and this sort of organic growth towards military and country leader.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I might check that out once it releases. If it's releasing this year. There's not that a lot of this year left.
Yeah, I know. It's disappearing.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say you navigate the map very much like in Alaloth.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's better than that though.
It's better though. It's 3D and you can zoom in and stuff, and the little icon or the little 3D model of your character on the world map actually is just a scaled down version of your actual like character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I realized that when I was changing armor and stuff like that, it was represented in the world.
Yeah.
Like in the world map.
Yeah.
Which is kind of neat.
And it's important that they do this for like the when you're you have like 4 other or 5 other like military leaders following you in a pack, and they each have like 500 units.
Yeah.
You don't really want this.
Well, I'm okay with the whole like overworld and real world sort of switching thing. I don't like
don't want to be
when they take it back a step further and you're just a pin on it.
Right. No, this we'll have a look after.
You're not a pin, but
you're not.
It has that. You're a little 3D guy, but the world does move. The time of day does move faster when you do. I think that's. Was that true? Yeah, like you could stop moving and the world would stop.
Yeah, you can pause the simulation. Yeah, you can pause the game.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But like it's not like if you have more movement speed, the world moves faster. I think you can alter.
I can't.
You can,
I'm
you
sure
can
there
alter
was
the passage of time on the world. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of because like I was
double speed
zipping
or whatever.
around
Yeah.
and really fast, and the time of day is like flying by.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
we are well over time.
Mhm.
If you've got questions about any of the games we talked about, or if you want to recommend some games, or just like say hi, email forensicquestions@gmail.com and make sure that the headline is blank why.
No. Oh no. We have had that,
Perfect. I'm glad. You can also contact us on Facebook, etc. You know the drill. You've heard of the podcast.
Yep. You know the drill. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell. Leave a.
Smash that like button.
Smash it.
Smash it.
Smash
pieces.
your PC.
Subscribe to Blake's OnlyFans.
You know what?
Yeah, please. I don't have anyone. I don't have any fans.
What's weird? It's just a collection of paper fans.
Yeah, only fans. I'm a big fan.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be back maybe in a couple weeks, depending on people's health and whereabouts.
You're sounding pretty sniffly during this podcast.
Yeah. So hopefully it'll be better by
I think
then.
you'll be fine, probably.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye. Have you watched The Good Place?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of that as well.
Good Place is fantastic. One of the best shows ever. Yeah, Michael sure does good shows.
Mm-hmm.
Michael sure does good shows. He sure does. Like Michael sure
Yeah.
does good shows.
Yeah.
Because his name is Michael Schur.
I see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
SHUR.
It's a play on the name Michael. I get it.
Yeah.
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 Because it's like Mike will, but
It's like
he
Mike-
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
He's like-
he will.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's unwell as well. Because Mike ill.
Ill can be good.
That's true.
Yeah.
Man, that's ill.
Mike ill. Sure does good shows.
Weird that his parents named him that.